Hi, it's Chris Pistorius again with iFuse Internet Marketing, and we are here today to do another Google Live Hangout. And today's topic is going to be bail bonds, and we are happy to have the owner of BWB Bail Bonds, Brian Easley, with us. And Brian's going to go through some of the most common kind of questions and answers that happen in his industry that people ask him, and give us some great information about bail bonds, the process, and how it all works. So, Brian, thanks so much for being with us today.
Good morning, Chris, and thanks for the opportunity.
Sure thing, sure thing. So, why don't you start off telling us just a little bit about you and your company?
Well, Chris, I grew up on a small ranch, and so there's a little bit of a cowboy in me, I guess. And growing up there, I went into Uncle Sam's Canoe Club, or United States Navy. And after that, I went into law enforcement. And during that time, I had an opportunity to do some fugitive recovery work for bail bond agents. And then later on, I did become a bail bond agent. And that's kind of a little synopsis there of my history.
Okay, cool. That's great. So, how long ago was that? How long have you been in the bail bond business?
You know, Chris, I've actually been in the bail bond business for 5 years, but I've been involved in the criminal justice system for about 25 years. And I've been pretty fortunate to be kind of one of those all-around people that throughout the law enforcement, I've been in courts, jail, patrol. So I've got a well-rounded background on the criminal justice system.
Okay, well, that's great. That's good to know. So, I got to imagine that not too many bail bond owners or companies have that background of having some police type of background. Is that true, or is that pretty common in your business?
You know, there are a few bond agents who do have some law enforcement or criminal justice background, but it's usually specialized in one area or another. And without trying to give legal advice, it's one of the things that we can do for our clients is that we can share with them our experiences in regards to the criminal justice system. What is the court process? What's going to happen? What is likely to happen within a court procedure? The other thing that I kind of bring to it, I'm one of those crazy fools that I actually like to read case law, and I really do like to dig at the elements or reading statutes and see what they mean. Thereby, I can share that knowledge with my clients and give them a better shot at how they go through the court process.
Okay, great. Cool. So, can you kind of explain? I think probably most people don't really need a bail bondsman or don't know anything about bail bonds until they need one. Let me know if that's right, first of all. But secondly, could you explain, once somebody calls you and the process starts, what is the process? And does that differ from county to county in the state of Colorado, or is it all the same? And can you explain just a little bit about the process of bail bonding?
Well, Chris, you're right. I mean, most people, aren't expecting to use a bond agent for thank goodness. We live our lives and we try to do what's right. But occasionally, yeah, we run across the law or afoul of it, and we get into some trouble, whether we're conscious of it or not. And usually the process starts out with some type of response or call by law enforcement. They then make a determination as to whether an arrest should occur. That person is then arrested, and of course this can happen at the most inconvenient time. Sometimes it's at night, sometimes it's at a sporting event, or whatever the situation might be. It's never convenient. The person is arrested. They're taken to usually a county or city jail. They'll be booked in, a booking process. And usually at the conclusion of the booking process, they'll be given an opportunity to make some phone calls to either loved ones or a bonding agent, or to reach out and let people know where they're at. And then usually from there the bonding process starts out. There are some situations in certain types of cases, usually related to domestic violence, to where there may be a no bond hold until they are seen by the judge. In that situation, within 72 hours, a judge will see them and a bond will set. And most jails will, again, once that bond is set, allow that individual to make some phone calls, etc. That's kind of the generic process.
Okay, great. I think that helps a lot. Again, hopefully none of us or our viewers have to go through that process, but like you said, it does happen. So once you get in this jam, if you will, or this legal problem, and you get arrested, how do these inmates find a bail bondsman? How are you contacted by? Is it by the people in jail themselves or the family, or how does that work?
There are two ways that bond agents are contacted. One is the obvious one, as I said, as the person gets booked in and gets done with the booking process, they're allowed to make phone calls. There is usually some method or means that the jail would have to point out different bond agents. The other process is they've reached out to a loved one, a family member, and that family member is now looking for a bond agent. And one of the things I need folks to understand is that the jail or the deputies there at the city, the jail, cannot recommend any one bond agent. And different jails have different methods of providing bond agent names or companies. Some jails will have a list of bond agents. Some will have business cards of bond agents that routinely appear at that jail, and some will just allow access, some type of media access, whether it be a web or potentially a Yellow Pages. But we're not seeing as many quote Yellow Pages books in booking centers. So the other one is that commonly for a family member who has been reached out to, they will commonly look on the web. And in this day and age, commonly what they'll do is they'll pick up their phone and they'll start looking there and try to reach out and find that bond agent.
Okay, great. Now your bail agency, you're statewide, right? You can handle the entire state of Colorado, or what are your restrictions there?
Yes, sir. We can handle anywhere within the state, and that even includes that we can also, if you have a loved one, etc., that is in another state, please give us a call, and we can help make that transaction happen for that other state. We'll probably involve another bond agent in that state, but we can help you through that process. But yes, we are statewide. We have agents in the southeast corner. We've got them in south central. We definitely have them out east. We've got just about agents that cover the state one way or another.
Okay, and I've got to think that that's an advantage to have somebody. I would assume that they live locally in those regions too, so they probably know people and they know the process better, and they're just local. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yes, sir. One of the advantages of having a local bond agent is that they know the process. They'll know it inside and out, because each jail is a little bit unique on how they process both the booking process and the bonding process. The other one is they also know who the judges are, who the prosecutors are. They will have a better sense for that locality on how a case is going to progress. So that can be helpful to a client. The other one is that having so many agents and being in so many locations, if you call any one of us and that agent is either tied up, he's doing another bond, or he's doing another project, he will immediately turn around and get that to another bond agent that can handle your situation. The other one is maybe distance is involved, and we'll make sure to get that to the closest bond agent to your county.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Hey, so do you actually handle any of the bonds yourself? Do you do the bail bond process as well?
Chris, I am still a bond agent and happy to be so. Yes, I do still post bonds, and I still help with my bond agents anytime. If they have any questions, they can contact me, and any of our clients can contact me at any time. I still like to get out, post the bonds. I still like to get out and visit the other counties, and stay in touch with the sheriffs, with the jails, just to kind of keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on out there.
Okay, great. When somebody needs a bail bond, and they give you a call, how does the payment process work? How do people pay you?
Chris, we've accepted payments by almost every method. In this business, still the preferred method is cash. Certainly, we do take credit cards. Every one of our bond agents is capable of taking a credit card. And now, rarely we will take checks. Obviously, in our business, checks can be a little bit detrimental, but we have taken down, when we qualify that check. So it's pretty easy to be able to make payment to any one of our bond agents.
Okay, that sounds good. And can anyone qualify for these bonds, or is there a qualification process? How does that work?
There is a qualification process. Generally, we are looking for family member involvement with the client to ensure it. We look at it the same way that the courts do. We want people involved in on this process to help that individual get through the process. We as bond agents alone, we can't do it ourselves. We can certainly encourage them, but with family support is what we rely upon, to help that person get through the process.
Okay, that's great. Why should somebody use a bond agent at all?
Well, Chris, that's a good question, because there are times when a bond agent isn't appropriate. A bond agent is usually for when somebody doesn't have the amount of money for a bond. This is where we come in, because obviously we're going to charge a fee. That's how the bond agent makes his living, is by charging that fee, but it's a non-refundable fee. It's not something that you get back. Whereas if you do pay cash to the court, the amount of the bond, if you have that, to pay that cash, the courts will hold that cash until the person is completely done with their case, and then return that less any fines and costs. But yeah, there are times when it's not appropriate to use a bond agent. And as our agents and myself, as we listen to a call, we'll be more than happy to tell somebody, hey, maybe a bond agent isn't appropriate. Maybe there's a different way. And that's the first part of the call, is we try to listen and see what is the best for the client that's calling us. What's the best method?
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Is there a way to know, like, obviously you have a lot of competitors out there, a lot of bond agents. Is there a way to, how do you know that you're going to find a reputable one? What's the best way to really choose one?
Well, the first thing, and even in this day and age, if we're heavily regulated, which I think we're, at least so we should be regulated. But I've even recently just heard of somebody trying to, it sounded shaky. And you know what? That's probably the first clue. If it sounds too good to be true, back off. It probably is too good to be true. Any bond agent should be able to give you their license number. They should be able to give you the location where to look it up with the Division of Insurance, and be able to look up that license and show that they're in good standing, that they are licensed bond agents. And I think that would be a good start. So please don't ever hesitate to ask, hey, are you licensed? What is your license number? How would I be able to look up and show that that license number is valid?
Okay, that's great advice. How does the bond or the bail process end, or how does it end? I mean, what, after they've hired you and they've gone through all this stuff, does it just is there an end date, or how does that work?
There is, and it's basically what's called a bond, a discharge of bond. The discharge of bond is when the defendant gets to the point that they're either found innocent, the case is dismissed, or they're found guilty, or take a plea bargain. At that point is when the bond is discharged or the bond ends, and thereby the liability for the bond agent and any co-signers that may be with that bond. That's when it ends.
Okay, that's good to know, and I think probably everybody in that situation would be looking forward to that date,
Yeah.
certainly. But obviously, the bail process is, you give somebody bail, and that's kind of a make good. You want them to make sure they make their court dates, they show up for all their hearings, they're doing everything that they're supposed to during the process. But what happens if you do have a bail bond through you or any other company and you miss your court date? What happens then?
Life interrupts us. Stuff does happen. Generally, we try to stay in contact. We try to be open with our communications with both our co-signers and our clients. Um, Give your bond agent a call. Let him know what happened. For our bail agency, it is a policy that if we can get you in within a few days of missing court, we'll give you what's called a consent of surety, get you back into the court, and just get you another court date. It doesn't cost you anything. As a matter of fact, it is illegal to charge for a consent of surety, but that's not our point. Our point is we want to just get you back into court and get you going again on the process. Certainly, if it gets too long, we'll sit down and we'll talk with you about reposting the bond if that's what we need to do. We're going to try to work with our clients and just get them back into the court process so that they can get through this. You know, like most people, we just want to get this behind us. Hey, we did something, something happened, and we just want to get through it um, and put it behind us. So that's what we aim to do, is try to get people through the process and get their cases concluded.
Okay, great. Well, it sounds to me like, and I don't know that much about bail or the process. I do now, I guess, but it sounds like BWB has a little bit different stance in that you have some background with law enforcement. You have a lot of unique factors that make you who you are and as an organization, and it certainly seems like you go the extra mile to, for you, it seems to me anyway that it's more about just a bail bond. It's more about helping that individual and getting them through the process and hopefully getting everything back on track the way it should be. I guess my last question to you would be, why would I choose BWB? I mean, we talked about there being a lot of other bail bond agents out there. Why do you think people should choose you?
I think that we have the knowledge and capability of the court process. That is one of our biggest things, and that's true of all of our agents, not just me. Um, we really take an interest in the client and getting them through the process. It's not just a matter that we go down, collect money, throw paper at a jail deputy, and call it good. We're going to ride through that process. We expect that if our client has any questions about the court process, about the bond, anything, call us. We'll be more than happy to talk to you and answer any of your questions, whether it be specifically about your case or you're sitting in court and you heard something else going on in court. We'll be more than happy to tell you about it. What makes us stand out is our client service. That's what we believe in. We don't just even we don't have a whole lot. How do I want to put this really correctly? We're not about quantity. We're about quality, and trying to give that customer service to the individual. And I think that's just as important in bail bonds as in any other type of business. And so we really take an interest in both the family members who are coming to the aid of their loved one, to the client himself, and get them through this process to help them through it. So I guess again, I keep repeating this, but what makes us different is our client service.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, Brian, I want to thank you for being with us today, and for our viewers, a great way to reach Brian and his staff would be to call. Their main phone number there is 720-358-2908, as you can see it on the screen as well. Or also you can find them online at www.bwbbailbonds.com. I want to thank you for joining another live hangout with us, and we hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.
Chris, my pleasure.
Thanks.